Welcome into the 2026 Week 31 devlog for Slammer, a multiplayer FPS Battle Royale that I am solo developing in Unreal Engine 5. This week was all about getting the full game loop going without any soft locking going on, and I was able to accomplish that goal, and that is just awesome to see. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So for those of you who were really paying attention during last week's devlog, you'll notice that you never saw a situation where both players were downed and then were killed. And the reason for that is there was no respawn system whatsoever at that point. And the result of that is that when you're playing and your whole squad goes down, there is absolutely nothing you can do. You're just completely soft locked, and eventually both players will bleed out and you're just stuck in the spectating mode with no way to respawn. So to fix this, the first thing I did was to put in a respawn system, and while this may seem like a very trivial thing to do, it really isn't, because I had to create an entire system that tracks the state of each member of each squad. Because if you think about it, each member of a 4-person squad that we'll have in this game can either be not in the game at all, so they haven't joined, they can be alive, they can be downed, or they can be flat out dead. And there are obviously lots of places in the game that need to know the state of the player's squad and the player themselves. Like if you think about all the UI that changes when you're in the down position versus when you're up, versus when that player slot isn't even filled, there are a lot of consumers of that data. And before this week, it was all kind of scattered around the project, and there wasn't one source of truth, so to speak. So once I created that one source of truth system for the status of each player and each squad in the game, it was pretty easy to hook up the respawn system. But the next problem I faced was what happened when the player did respawn. The way that the bot aggro AI works is it picks a target when it is in the aggressive state, and unfortunately, when you were playing with just one player, it never cleared that target. So let's say you shoot a bot and it kills you because you're its target, you never stop being its target. So what this means in practice is the second you spawn back in, that bot just really quickly kills you again, and that is obviously no fun. So what I did to fix this was to update the branch of the target selection that happens when there are no other alive players in the squad to target, to now it just clears the target and removes the aggressive state. So now when you die, you spawn back in and none of the bots are in that aggressive state and none of them are targeting you. Once that was fixed, there was only one other problem to solve that was very obvious and glaring to me, and that was what happens in the case where it isn't possible to revive the player. And this can happen in one of two instances. The first is if you're just playing solo with no squad mates, you obviously can't revive yourself because there are no self-revives in this game. And if you're on a squad and there is no one else in the alive state, then obviously you find yourself in the same predicament you would if you were solo and get downed, which means that you pretty much just sit there bleeding out and there's nothing you can do to revive yourself. So it's just a timer that you have to wait, and that is obviously no fun for the player. And fixing this issue was actually surprisingly easy because I put in the work to have that one source of truth spot on the game mode for the alive state of each member in the squad. Just by leveraging that system, I was able to very easily determine if the game was in a state where no revive was possible, and in that case, just automatically bring everyone in the squad to the full dead state. And now, with that change, we have a full game loop where you can join the firing range, you can fight some bots, and if everyone in your squad dies, you just respawn and keep playing. So big improvement to where things were last week, especially when I'm playtesting. And with this progress, we should be set up to bring this home next week in week 32 and finish the lockdown objective and be feature complete for Test Drive 2. Once it is feature complete, though, I still have a bunch of bugs in the backlog that I've been neglecting and a few improvements to the bot AI I want to put through before we call this done and I can QA the build and get it up on Steam. So if you want to come along with me on this journey of making this massively scoped Battle Royale game as a solo dev, definitely subscribe to the channel and like and comment on the video. Every act of engagement to these devlogs is really motivating for me, and it definitely keeps me going while I log off of work and immediately start working on this. So I really appreciate that if you feel so inclined to do so. Also, the link to the current build on Steam, Test Drive 1, is in the description as always, so definitely check that out if you like the gameplay you're seeing in the background with up to 3 friends. Shoot some bots, try the loadout system, and let me know what you think. But with all that being said, I've been Steve, thank you so much as always for watching, and I'll see you next week.